Okay, this is Richard Clark with Vinyl Photocore, just creating a video to have somebody complete a website that we started. We hired a company to create a website, and they worked on it but didn't finish it as per specifications, and so they took a lot longer than they were supposed to, and so I eventually just fired them from the job, and I'm looking for somebody to finish some of the things that need to be done on the site. Now, there's a lot that needs to be done on the site, and so I'm just going to go over a few of the points. This site has been so confusing with this other company that I'll promise you that there are other issues with the site, but these are kind of maybe some of the main ones which will help identify some of the additional problems that need to be finished. So I'm just going to kind of go through this so that we can get really a good idea what needs to be done so that people can see. There's a few, and this really isn't going to be any sort of order other than that I took my notes, and so I'm just going to go write down these notes. One of the big issues with the site, and please bear in mind the site is it is at mallvinyl.com. It can be seen there. There's a lot of just test things in there that seems kind of be weird, but nonetheless, this is the functionality of the site. But in this particular category, I know that there's many designs. We're showing what about 8 or 9 or something like that. There are many here. The number one thing I told this company when I asked them to build me a site was that I wanted smooth scrolling. I wanted the ability to people, we have thousands of designs, I wanted people to build this smooth scroller, and we had many discussions about this. I've had discussions with developers. We see it all the time on the web, online, and so I know this is something that's possible, but the smooth scrolling feature on this site has never worked. This particular item has other items in it, and I'm actually, I don't know if you can hear, but I am trying to scroll down with my wheel, but it's not allowing me to, because as you can see the bottom of it here. However, if I zoom in, it will allow me to scroll, and guess what? It starts loading additional products. I don't know why it does this, but certainly, and we can kind of see how this is just sort of ridiculous. But as I scroll down, it scrolls a couple files, which isn't going to work. When you have thousands of designs, it's hard for people to scroll through that. This feature needs to really operate like it is right here, where I'm scrolling very quickly, and it needs to be loading pictures off the screen. This is something I've talked about with other developers. I know it's something that's possible. I even talked about it with this developer that developed this site, and they say it's possible, but it was never accomplished. The scrolling feature on this is just horrible. Now this is in the products, and really the scrolling feature is about the same in the gallery. I don't remember which category, but you can see how slow it wants to load. Maybe that size of pictures, I don't know, but I doubt it. It should be sizing them to an optimal size so that this can scroll quickly, but nobody's going to wait for this kind of stuff. I'm just continually scrolling down. It's just loading 2 or 3 pictures at a time, and waiting to load. This is mainly the problem. It's waiting to load the pictures until after I start to scroll. When what I've talked with other developers is that it should be loading them off of the screen, and so that as I scroll down, it's still loading them, but it's loading images that are off the screen, and so you really get the smooth operation. Now the biggest thing is I'm not going to ask my customers to change the zoom of their screen in order to get it to load, and we can see that that's a problem here, where we know that this category here, this is the inspiration category. I know it does because I've added all these items in myself. I know it has more than these 9 designs, but when I change the zoom, then it allows me to start to load more of those designs, and for some reason just took a couple there and a couple more. So it's obviously not working properly. So this is one big issue here, is the scrolling. Now, that was the one of 2 number one things of when I talked to this company. So this is a big issue to me. I want this to scroll properly because we have thousands of designs in our business. This is our business. We make these little designs in vinyl lettering, and so that needs to work properly. The other thing, which is also a big thing, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump to that, is, and I don't recall, it's been a while since I've looked at this site, but on each of our products, right, we have this product here. It has an option for many colors, and it also has an option for different sizes. So These sizes aren't really, they're just kind of test, and they're size 10, 12, 14, but they would be dimensions of this design in inches. So this design might be 30 inches long by 8 inches tall, and it would be 2 or 3 or 4 different sizes for this particular design. So one of these designs, and I think actually it's this, fire hydrant. We can also put in customizable text. So here's an example, customizable text. Let's just say and this is really not a great example, but to kind of build the scenario, this would be a family monogram, in which many people make a design instead of it being a custom design like we saw there, or it's going to be a kind of a prefabricated design that we saw earlier, where it was just a quote or some words. This would be a design that would be specific to somebody's last name, and so they would have the ability to put in their last name if their last name was Roberts or whatever it is, so that this, instead of being a fire hydrant, would say Roberts. Now the picture is not going to change, and we understand that this would be just an idea. It never was supposed to change, but the customer is able to change the text in it so that it is customized to their name or whatever the project might be. If there's any questions on this, you can always ask me, but we have a lot of customizable products, and one of the number one things that's customizable is people doing their name or something to that effect. And then they would also be able to choose a font. Now there's supposed to be a preview here where they would be able to see what Roberts looks like in this font. We would also be able to select the fonts that the customer would see. So there is no preview, that's supposed to be there. But we would also be able to choose the fonts, and I'm not sure how we do that. That could be something maybe the developer could describe to me. It doesn't really appear to be able to do that. But the biggest problem with this, and this is the number one for this, so this is number 2 in priority of building this website. First one was scrolling. Number 2 is to be able to create these customizable products. Ironically enough, the company wasn't able to accomplish either one of my first 2 priorities with the site. So the biggest problem with this one here is that a customer might come in here and purchase this item. They actually purchase it, and they choose it in a color and a size or whatever, and they want it to say Roberts. Well, the problem with this is that it doesn't tell me when they check out on my back end what the customizable text was. So the customer typed it in there, but it doesn't translate over to the cell, and that's a huge problem. I can't fulfill the order unless I know what they want me to say. And so that's a big problem. So that needs to be fixed, the custom products there. So another thing on this site to understand, and I hope this video makes sense because there's a lot going on, but I'm trying to keep it in a small amount. So if you have additional questions, just ask me. But this site is designed to be duplicatable. So what we're on right here, mallvinyl.com, is the main site. Our business model is such that we will have what we call consultants who are representatives for the company that go out and sell. These consultants will have their own generated site. So for example, it would be mallvinyl.com / I'm trying to remember actually what the addresses are, because that was one issue, but is the knowing their address. So here's there's a big problem with the site and the ability to create these duplicated sites. But there would be the main site, and then there also would be some replicated sites. And so the creation of these replicated sites is something that's a little bit, probably needs to be tweaked a little bit. And I'm not sure exactly how or why, because it's never been really complete. Matter of fact, the company didn't start it until after 9 months into the project. They finally created this, and so it's been very difficult for me to test this. But there is some duplicated sites on here that I'm not 100% sure how to access right now. It's been a few months since I've actually looked at this, but the point of that is that these consultants will use their website to run their business. Now, purchase can be made in 2 different ways. The consultants ideally are supposed to run parties at their home where they will sell the product to a group of people, and place orders in which these orders would be shipped in a group. So so there's two different ways that you can purchase. Well, first of all, these consultants, they earn a commission. Now, I don't know whether the commissions on this site are working properly. I haven't been able to test it. One thing I've been able to tell is that they don't earn the commissions properly, because they earn commissions in two different ways. So there's earning commissions from sales through parties, and then they earn commissions through sales on their website, just general sales, not through parties. So the important thing to understand is the parties. Now, the site has been designed, and I just tested it actually, and it's no longer working because the developer has made some changes since I told him to stay off of it. But the consultant, and I am logged into a consultant Caden Clark's page, and they're able to create parties. Now we can see that it's not working. I don't know why. They've done something to it. They've made some changes to the site since I told them to stop, and so there's probably a lot of things that aren't working that I'm not aware of, because I went through and I tested the site and found all the problems. I sent them over the problems, and then they've made some more changes since then, which have caused some more additional errors. But they're able to create parties. Now, the way that the consultant is paid is through these parties, and the way that the site tracks it is through a party code. The consultant creates a party code, which is more or less just a promo code, so that when their customer checks out, if they put in a party code, that's going to track the order as if it's made through a party, and the consultant will earn a higher commission on that sell. If they don't put in a party code, then it would be just a general sell on their website. They'll earn a lower commission, and so that commission part of the website hasn't been working properly. One of the biggest problems with this party code issue is that there is no place on the checkout process for the customer to put in a party code. So originally they had created these parties here where the consultant could create party codes, but they never created a spot where they checked out where they could enter the party code, and so that was always a problem. So for example, if I go back to, actually I have an item in my cart, so if I go to the checkout process, we'll see that there's some discount codes here, which is not a party code. If that's the spot, then it's definitely not communicated properly, but they need to be able to enter in at some point during this checkout process a party code. So they have their address, they can put in their address, shipping, I guess. You know, I'm not even sure all this stuff works, because it's just really been well, you know, I'm just going to check out money order. One other thing to touch on just right now: merchant services do not work. They need to work, so that's one other item that needs to be worked on. It should be connected to PayPal and a merchant service, but just for the sake of this, I'm just going to check out as a check, and that shouldn't be there either, but I'm sure I can probably take that off. I'm not sure, but okay, so there's no spot in this checkout process to enter in a party code. So really, probably priority number 3 was to create this for consultants to be able to run parties. If there's no party code be able to enter a party code in the checkout process, then the whole system just doesn't work at all, because the sales are tracked by the party codes. The consultants create the party codes. The party codes expire automatically within 4 weeks. The consultant has the ability to close a party code, which is what closes the sale in order for us to fill it and ship it out. That's all done on that back end, on that party thing that's not working now. And then their customers enter in that party code when they check out. And if they enter in the party code, the consultant gets a higher commission. It also is supposed to sort all of the orders. If it has a party code, it sorts those orders on my back end, which is something that doesn't work. It sorts those parties by their party code. But since they can't even enter in a party code, it's never going to work. So this whole system of party codes, I know it's pretty complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. There's a system of party codes that track orders. It tracks the commissions. It tracks the organization of the orders. Now, another thing too on these party codes, so typically if a customer is putting in a party code, their order is going to be shipped among 6 or 8 other orders. The party is going to be shipped as a whole to the hosts or wherever designated place they want to send it. But when they check out, there also needs to be in the shipping, if they've entered a party code, they have the option to ship it to their house, or they have the option to ship it to or with the party. Shipping it with the party is free shipping. Shipping it to their house is going to be charged the $5 flat shipping fee that we charge, and that feature doesn't work as well. So the full party code system really as a whole just doesn't work altogether. And so I know that's complicated. If there's additional questions on that, let me know. But simply, consultants need to be able to create party codes, which is not working on the site currently. It did work before, and they've changed it. But they need to, so I don't know exactly what this needs to be fixed, but they need to be able to create party codes, and these party codes are what track orders. Okay, so there needs to be a spot in the checkout for customers to be able to put in party codes. It's not a required field because they may not put in a party code, but if they do, then the consultant gets a bigger order, a bigger commission, and on the back end it needs to track the orders depending on these party codes. And there was a simple solution of being able to do that. Now this is all built on Magento. This is my Magento backend here, where we can see sales. There's a lot of gibberish here just because it's all about testing. There is some. That was a consultant page there, or a profile for a consultant there that could be talked about. But so anyhow, in this backend, there would be the ability to create or track orders. There's supposed to be on this back end an option to be able to track parties. That's not there, but anyhow, there's a whole lot to this party thing that needs to be corrected. And again, it's really not that complicated. You just need to understand how our business model works, which in 14 months this previous developer never did, and so it just never really got done correctly. But this party code issue needs to be fixed. Another big thing, and this is how I know that this company, this is how I know this company was making changes to the site after. This right here was created because it was one of the things that I told them that wasn't created, and they realized that they had committed to do it and they didn't do it, because the reason why they had committed to do it was because on a video, and this is a screenshot of the video, this is a video that we created, this is what we went over, and I could even share this with whoever I hired to build my site, but we went over every aspect of the site, and this is what they showed me on the site. It turns out this right here was only a picture. It has no functionality whatsoever. Now this is a video, so I can't test the functionality of it, but I found out that this was a screenshot from another company's website, and that's what they put in here to make me think that they were building a site. So this is our custom page, which they took this away completely, and this is what's here now. This is my active site, and it's pretty close. I'd like to talk to them about some of the design features of it, but I also haven't been able to get it to work either, so I've added a couple of fonts in here. This Corinthia font, they added all these other ones, and I'm not sure how they added them, and I've also added this Scriptina. What I can tell to be the problem with this, let's see if I can show you, with this, what I can tell to be the problem with this is that, so they added this fonts over here, and I think what the problem is that it'll allow me to add the font onto it. However, I can't upload the font. I think that's the problem, is I'm able to add the font on here. So for example, this Corinthia, what it's wanting me to do is it's wanting me to choose a file, and I've done this several times. I can't figure out any other way. It really shouldn't be this complicated, but it's wanting me to choose a file. So if I choose a file and I add that particular Corinthia font in here, and I save it, we just saw me do that process. I don't see anywhere on here where it tells me to upload that file, but I think that's the problem, because if I go back into it, it's telling me to still choose a file. And so yeah, so I don't know why this isn't working, but I'll show you here in just a second. It's not working. Again, this kind of goes along with that number 2 priority with the custom stuff. I'm kind of curious of some of these other fonts that they put all these other fonts in here. I only put in the Corinthia and the Scriptina, and it's telling me to choose a file. So if I save this now, and I'm actually kind of curious before I save it. Okay, let's just test this here real quick. So there's the font right there. So if I test it, and if I click on that, it should show me a preview, and it does. But what I'm going to do on this back end, because I'm kind of curious, is I'm going to save this, because what I'm thinking is they just uploaded some fonts manually rather than through the back end, and then I've saved that now, so I'm going to refresh this and retest that font and just see if it works. And it doesn't work now because I saved it, and so it's looking for a file, because when I saved it, it doesn't have a file in there. It has to do something with uploading these files, and that's why that's not working anymore. But the bottom line is that this doesn't actually work. So after my deadline, in which I fired them from my project, they actually put this on afterwards because they knew that it was something that they had committed to. So it's close, but it doesn't work. I can't add fonts like we were told. The coloring on it is just hideous. They didn't even talk to me about that. Keep in mind, this was done after March 17th, which was their deadline. They did it secretively after, and what they don't realize is I made a video on March 17th of the website, and you'll notice that this page is different than it was on March 17th, the day that I fired them. And so it's interesting that they did that, but obviously they just threw it up there just to make it seem like it works. It doesn't work, as we can tell, because I added this Corinthia format. It doesn't show a preview. Some of these other ones work because I'm guessing that they uploaded these files to the back end manually rather than through, or they put them into the database manually rather than through the back end. But the ones that I've added is Scriptina, Corinthia. Let's see. Corinthia, these ones don't work. And one other thing too that this really should accomplish is that I'd like to have these three boxes on one screen so people don't have to scroll down like I'm doing. They should be able to test it and see it all in one thing. So some new functionality on that would be better. This, of course, again, this one doesn't work now either. Well, it is working now, so I have no idea why it's not working. I can't get it to work. But bottom line is it does look different than what I saw on our video, and why they changed it I don't know, but well, I do know. It's because they're kind of lying and cheating developers, but this needs to work properly, and we need to make this look better. This is much more classy looking. If you look at the tabs, this is much more classy looking than this kind of colorful brown thing, and maybe that could be updated, but this was done after my deadline, which really makes me upset because I told them to stay off of my server and they didn't. So that's something that needs to be worked on. Another thing here, and this is just, maybe this is kind of nitpicky, but it is kind of a big deal. If you notice on here, this is our contact page. It's nice. It works fine. This is all great. Works as it is. I know I had some conversation with my developer on taking off some of these things here. There's like my orders. What my developer really didn't do is fully test the site. This works fine as long as nobody is logged in. As soon as I log in, it's going to shift up my page, and so that my store locations, which is a big part, this is probably number 4 or 5 priority, at least it's on the top here. Sorry, I'm going to log in here. And that's a fine. We'll log into that account. So I'm going to log in here, and when I go to my contact page, well, actually it's not doing it on this particular account because I don't have a wish list. So let me log in. And there's so many specifics to this site that, again, my developer didn't really recognize because he wasn't able to really test it, or he didn't test it is what I said. He expected me to do all the testing, and so yeah, so now this particular account has a wish list, and so you'll notice it moves my store locations down. This wish list we talked about removing because it just didn't seem right. There's access to their wish list in their back end on the account, which is fine. But when it messes up my number 4, 5, or 6 priority, which is having my store locations on my website, then it's a big problem, and they apparently didn't seem to recognize that. So the contacts seem to work, or excuse me, these store locations seem to work until you get logged in and you have a wish list. And obviously this is not what I want. Another big thing, this is probably 5 or 6. I mean, these are all just big priorities. These are not just minor things on the site, but the weekly specials. We do something with our company every week. We do a $2 weekly special. This special is available to purchase in our stores and is available to purchase online. One existing problem with our current website is that people can purchase more than one. Now this weekly special, it's a smoking deal. It's $2 for what normally is, $12, $14, $16. It's 80% off generally. We limit it to one per customer, and so this weekly specials was supposed to be set up that way. And I don't know whether this is working properly or not. We had many discussions on this. They obviously didn't walk me through whether this was working or not because there were so many other problems on it. I take it it's not working. What was supposed to be created, what we talked about, they were going to create a very special item, and it was just this one item that was limited to one. I don't want people to have to use a promo code to purchase it. I understand I could do that. I don't want people to put in a promo code. They can come to our site, purchase this $2 one, but I want them to be limited to just purchasing one without having to put in a purchase order or a promo code. And so this is just kind of a unique thing. What we talked about doing, because as we discussed working on this in the back end, there is an ability to limit it to quantity to purchase or something like that. I don't remember. Those of you that are familiar with Magento may know what I'm talking about, but what we talked about doing was creating a special category where in this category everything was limited to just purchasing one item. And so however we do this, I don't really care. I don't think that it's working, but what I need off this home page is the ability for customers to get to our weekly special, and this one particular product is going to be limited to one per person, one per order. Now if they order again, that's fine. It just needs to be limited to one per order, and they need to be able to do that without a purchase order. So whatever the best way is to do that, that's just kind of a simple thing that needs to be created. And so lastly on this site, again, there's probably more things, but these are just some of the major things. I'll promise you there's more things, because this development of this site, as you can tell, I'm pretty frustrated. This development of this site is horrible. Just so a little history, this site was started January 1st. Well, it was paid for December 31st, 2012. And so this was almost 2 years ago that this site was started. I fired this company in March 17th of this year, 14 months after they'd started it. The bid that they gave me was for a certain dollar amount, and it also was bid to be done in 4 weeks. So it took the bid to be done in 4 weeks, and they haven't completed it in 14 months. So please understand my frustration with this. The company was just a total joke. Sadly enough, it was a neighbor. But they made it sound all big, and they just couldn't deliver. And so I learned a lesson from that, and that's fine. We'll move on. This isn't anything difficult to do. They made it sound like I was the difficult one. But even after a recorded, I spent 12 hours with this company. We did a screen share and recorded exactly what I wanted. They couldn't complete that recording. And so this wasn't a communication thing. I understand how that could be that way, but this was, and I can share with you those recordings of exactly what this website should include. And it's simple, but for some reason they just didn't see all the details, as we can kind of see with like the contact thing. They didn't realize, well, once you're logged in, it messes up my store locations and stuff like that. And so they claim that it's all education. They just need to educate me on how to use the site, but I'm not an idiot. I can see how things are kind of working. I'm not a computer programming either. So the last thing is that in part of the completion of this site, I told them to add on, and I'm not sure if I'm using the right terminology, but you web developers will understand what I'm talking about. But I told them to add on the USPS, that's the United States Postal Service API, which would, for one, it would make sure that the addresses that are put into the checkout process would be correct. It also, I think that's actually the main functionality of it, so that when somebody puts in something incorrect, the U.S. Postal Service would recognize that right away, and they wouldn't allow them to check out. I don't know if that's the best way to do that, but I do need some sort of a verification that what they're putting in as an address is the correct address, so that we make sure we get them their product. The other thing is the back end and how we would organize orders. I talked to them many times and trying to understand how the back end works. Currently the back end doesn't work, and I'm trying to remember again. It's been kind of a couple months, but there's you're supposed to be able to. So here we go. They've got shipments, party shipments. Let's go to this party shipments here real fast. You're supposed to be able to. What the idea was is that we would come here into this screen, and here's the party codes, right? And so if I want, and I've only got 3 orders in here, but eventually I'll have lots of orders in here, and so this would allow me to sort them. So if I come up here, what's supposed to be able to happen is if I come up here and type in ASDASDDW, which is this party code down here, and I press enter, it's supposed to sort these so that that's the only thing that I see would be that. Now this does work on the customer shipments. Let me just show you how it's supposed to work. I believe it works. Anyhow, if I come over here to, let's say I want to sort this by the consultant, so I can come in here and type in Richard's site and press enter, and what it should do is eliminate everything but this one, or at least sort it that way. You know when it's not working on here either. I thought it did work. Let's try zip codes. Let's try sorting it by 84. This at one time did work, but as I said, there's been so much confusion with how this backend works. And those of you that understand how Magento works knows that what I'm talking about is supposed to work. I should be able to sort these orders by putting in a field, or by entering the field up here. So if I want to see all the orders out of Utah, it should eliminate these. I don't know if it eliminates them or just sorts them so that the Utah ones would be on top. And as you can see, it's not doing anything. And so this isn't working either, which I thought it did. One of these screens works. Maybe it's the commission screen. But this is the big issue. I need to know how to fill my orders. So let's go look here real quick. Maybe let's go to this orders page. And I assume this orders page is probably something that's default in Magento, and probably why it works. So let's say if I want to come to the ship to, and I want to ship to Fred, this Fred Perry down here. Let's find out. So I want to see the orders from Fred Perry. So if I type in Fred Perry, it's going to see. That's how it's supposed to work. It does work on this probably default screen, but the ones that they created here, it doesn't work, which is not accurate. I can't fulfill an order. I mean, the whole back end, it probably, I'm not going to say the whole back end, but a lot of the back end, it just doesn't work properly. This is supposed to work the way that just showed you. And so the back end has always been confusing. So I came up with a solution with him. I told him I want to connect it to Endicia, which is spelled E-N-D-I-C-I-A. That's E-N-D-I-C-I-A. It is a shipment service that we can connect to our backend that will control our backend in real time. And so that was the solution I came up with. Let's connect this to it. It sounds like it's a very easy thing. We just connect it to the database. It'll tell us in real time as we make changes in Endicia and we ship things. Endicia allows me to be connected to the U.S. Postal Service and UPS and FedEx and these other shipment carriers. And so that when I ship something, it automatically communicates back to the database and marks it as shipped, puts it in the tracking number, probably will even email the customer as it being shipped. And so this is something that's additional to the website currently, but it's I think it's an API, right, that you connect to it or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's the Endicia. I told him that let's do it, and he's okay, we'll connect it, because from what I understand, it's a pretty simple thing. As a matter of fact, I think a non-developer could connect it to their website. But these guys, throughout the entire 14 months of building this, I kept asking them, how is this going to look on the back end for me to be able to ship these orders? You know, we anticipate lots of orders, right? We have big plans for this website, and so we need to be able to somehow organize them. This obviously doesn't work, and it needs to work on top of the Endicia, because we need to be able to use this as well as the Endicia, although I think the Endicia thing is another simple thing to add to this, but it's not something that they never create. So there's lots of, you know, I think there's just minor tweaks on this site. I know I make it seem bad, but there are some things that need to be fixed on this site. These are the main ones. I'll promise you, after we finish these ones, we'll find other ones, and that's okay. What I need from a developer is I need you to finish this site as per our recorded sessions with Availus, the previous developer. And then on top of that, I want you to be able to maintain this site. I want to be able to come to you to make changes. I promise you there'll be some things that we'll need to do that are going to be better than the way we originally planned, and that's okay. That's where I want to be able to come to you and you to understand this site so that we can create it. So I know this was a long video. This is an important thing to me. These are some specific things that need to be done with this site. Hopefully being able to see it has helped you to understand it. If you need to know more information, we can get on a screen share and kind of go over some of these things, and so that you can better understand how this is going to be fixed and what it's going to cost to do it. I do need to know that. I'm not looking for a per hour bid. That makes it too risky for me. What I'm looking for is somebody to bid this on how much you think it's going to cost. If you want to add a little bit extra into that, that's up to you. I'm going to find the person that I feel is best, meaning their experience. I'm looking for somebody experienced with Magento. I need somebody to understand how Magento works, so that you can better fix it. From what I understand with the commissions, is they added a plug-in into it that's for sales commissions, and so you need to understand how all that works, because I know the commissions has some issues with it. And so again, there's lots of other things, but this is the main parts that need to be fixed. So please ask any questions that you may have. On top of that, you can contact me through Elance or whatever program you found me through. Thanks.